Hey guys, Dazzler Magic here, and it is time. Wait, no, it's past time. It is overdue. It is way past time to make another one of these videos. It's so past time, I honestly have to go look up what the name of this series is. I completely forgot. Okay, it is time for MTG Mistakes number 42. And by the way, you know what number 0 was on this list? Like even higher ranked than number 1? Also, by the way, they're not in any kind of order. Lands. Lands were a mistake. Call me crazy, but I don't think it's a coincidence that other games like Hearthstone did not make like energy or whatever they want to call it in any various, card games out there. Why they didn't make them cards in the deck. They shouldn't be. Mathematically, they shouldn't be. For fairness, they shouldn't be. For play skill versus play luck, they shouldn't be. They just shouldn't be. This MTG mistake that a lot of people are making is misinterpreting the correct use or the correct choice of a staple card, I guess you would say, or just a very low-level basic mechanic card. So assuming you're watching this around August 2017, if I asked you right now what is the best kill spell in Standard right now, everybody would tell me Fatal Push. Why? It's the most popular, the pros play with it, it's in the most decks, it costs the most money, the most people want it, which is why it costs the most money, so it must be the best, right? I mean, best is kind of an opinion, so I can't really say if that's true or false, but I will say that it is false that it is an auto-include. Like, hey, I need to blow up a creature. Okay, Fatal Push, done. See, what people are thinking is, okay, I am most likely to have the least amount of mana open at any given time on any given turn. So if I have 4 lands available and I tap 3 to cast a creature with haste and I want to rush them and deal as much damage as possible. Oh no, I only have 1 mana open and it's a swamp. Oh cool, I can still use a kill spell. Whereas if you were running like Murder or Never to Return or something like that, you probably wouldn't have 3 mana open. Just totally loose, soft logic probability. In general, you would have less mana open on a given turn, theoretically. Well, that's lovely. It is absolutely true. It is a correct, thinking. I know I made it sound like it's completely wrong by adding like 50 qualifiers, but no, it is logically correct and mathematically correct. It will be tweaked based on the number of lands in your deck and the average cast cost and that sort of thing, but other than that, I mean, yeah, a 1-cost spell is better than a 2-cost spell. It just is. The problem is Fatal Push isn't a kill spell. You can't just say, okay, it's a kill spell. When I think of a kill spell, I think of something that says destroy target creature and then a period after that. I mean, if they say and lose 2 life, okay, whatever, or and draw a card, great. But it at least has to blow up the creature. It has to destroy it. Fatal Push does not destroy creatures 100% of the time. In fact, not even a lot of the time. Exactly what Fatal Push says is destroy target creature if it has converted mana cost 2 or less, which is almost nothing that you would ever care about. And that goes double in Standard, although yeah, actually in Modern, you could blow up a lot of stuff that costs 2 or less, but still. Revolt, okay, so if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield already this turn at the time that this spell has resolved, destroy that creature if it has converted mana cost 4 or less instead. Well, you're still high in drive something costs 5 or more, which then you really want to destroy it. But I mean, okay, we're getting up into 5, like maybe you've won the game at that point, and that's so late game, maybe you could counter it if you're playing blue. You'd have more mana set up so you can still be doing things on your turn but leaving enough open for like an Essence Scatter. So this card, in my opinion, is unreliable, virtually unplayable garbage with one exception, because obviously there's a reason it's $9. This card is fast as hell. It is impossible in Standard right now, completely not possible to do, to drop in a 3-cost creature on turn 2. It cannot be done. So if you're playing a deck that its whole goal in life is to beat the person on turn 4 or 5, and with 85% of potential card draws that would not result in an initial mulligan, you will beat them on turn 4 or 5, sparing any kind of life gain or control. Okay, then I would put Fatal Push in, because what is the sheer probability that they will bring out a creature that you want out of your way that costs 3 or more? Well, it would have to be on turn 3, we know that, and if you're winning on turn 4, you've already, I guess, eliminated half of the playtime of stuff that you want gone. Now, you do have to take into consideration that your turn 2 is not their turn 2, and your turn 3 is not their turn 3. It depends who went first. And in a speed deck, oh my god, does it matter who goes first. But, you know, even a win on turn 6, just a rush, damage deck. None of this, I'm going to get out 8 copies of a clue and win, or I'm going to summon Ulamog for free on turn 9. No, I would not run Fatal Push then. But if I was just speed damage, you know, not even just absolute, the fastest deck that I can possibly build, red wins, haste, rush, whoa, just like a mid-speed deck, kind of like my latest one, the White Picket Defense, that almost always wins on turn 8 without any kind of interference from the opponent. If it goes unopposed, just the flying, the first strike, the trample, and that kind of stuff will win on turn 6. It is the most likely outcome. So would I run Fatal Push in that deck? Absolutely, without a doubt. Now the other thing is, if you're going to run it, but you could get dragged out to late game, like it's like a stupid gimmicky turn 4-5 combo that either wins the game or basically shuts down your opponent to the point where you have won the game just based on board state, but it'll take a couple more turns. But then if they disrupt your combo, you gotta reload it or go to a secondary win condition. Okay, now would I put Fatal Push in? Because it's a fast deck, but it's really disruptible. Like literally 1 kill spell or 1 counter spell and you just added 5 turns to the game because it's gonna take you a while to get back from that. Well, of course, sparing an immediate replacement draw off the top of your deck is a complete miracle. Well then, would I consider Fatal Push in the deck? I would have it come down to, in that case, how likely do I think I am to benefit from killing a creature? Like is the whole thing that my creature needs to hit them? Is that the combo? And then also, how much can I control something leaving? If something says sack another permanent you control and then do this, and it's an activated ability, yeah, I could get rid of anything I want at any time, or Evolving Wilds, or some kind of desert with an ability that sacks itself, or a Scion. I mean, I've used Scions for Revolt. They work great. I mean, honestly, you guys should try it. It's fantastic. It's ramp with Revolt, and then I added like death triggers to it. In fact, the deck is called Find Kill It. It's not that hyper competitive in the meta, but I also haven't updated it for Amonkhet at all. It's a pretty funny deck, though, I gotta say. It's a lot of fun to run. So, I mean, getting up to 4, I would say that that's reasonable, and if this is your only kill spell in your deck, you basically don't have kill spells then, because the chance of drawing in, I think, an 8-turn game, one of 4 cards, or more, one or more of a copy of 4 cards is like, I think it's like under 65%. So it's like almost a 50-50 that a set of 4, one of the cards will show up in a game that goes to turn 8, with drawing 7 and then 8 draws. So it's like 15 out of 60, but the deck shrinks. So yeah, not very good odds to say the least. So if you're also running Murder and Never Return, and this is just one of them, okay, I mean, what are the odds that this will show up late game? They're not great. So for this to backfire, it would have to be the only kill spell that you have in your hand at the time that you need to blow up something above, we'll say 4, because you're very confident that Revolt can go off. And then, like, what are the odds that they'll have something on the battlefield that qualifies like that? And it's just all these scenarios. It's probably down to a 5% chance. Sure, throw it in. That's why people constantly get surprised by an opponent beating them with, instead of negate, they run disallow or cancel. Instead of fatal push, they run murder. Or murderous compulsion, very underappreciated card. It's a 2-cost kill spell. And now the other card that's very, very famous that I keep mentioning is Censor. Censor is almost unplayable garbage. It is just short of it because it has cycling. Even the card Mana Leak, which says counter target spell unless its controller pays 2, doesn't have cycling and does cost 2 mana as an instant. Even that's not seen as the ultimate card in Modern in case the, game goes past turn 5 or 6. And that's the problem. Turn 2, I'll drop out a Mana Dork. Your Censor now does nothing. I mean, it's like, if I know you have it, I'm never going to max out an X spell, and I'm never going to use the last of my mana. I'm just not. And okay, them suspecting it might be in your hand, or maybe they saw it with a hand disruption card but then left it in. Now they're playing 1 spell down every turn or something, otherwise they know you're going to unleash it. That has some value to it, but it's only +1. I mean, how many turns late game do you actually tap out 100% of your mana all the way out? I would say less than half the turns, though it depends heavily on the deck. So this card is so bad late game, it's indescribable. But early game, oh my god, is this better than Essence Scatter or Negate? It's just better. That's why a lot of the pros play it, but that's the thing. People have the fallacy of, oh, the pros play it, they put it in their decks, I'll put it in my deck for F&M. Oh crap, why does it never work? Am I just unlucky? No, your games don't go to turn 5 and that's it. It's not just the ultimate top level power decks playing against each other. Games go a lot longer in casual or F&M or anything like that. Now, it's not universally true, but it's, commonly true in general. So yeah, you pull this on turn 13, it's not going to do a damn thing. They have like 8 lands on the field probably by then. Now the thing is, if it is a dead card, it isn't, because you pay a mere 1 to cycle it and then hopefully pull like a disallow or something you can actually use. But I have an idea. Instead of cycling it and crossing your fingers, why don't you instead play the correct spell in the first place? Just pay 1 more mana. Just 1 more mana. That's it. To run disallow, which is just superior in every way, obviously. Now, if you really, really, really need a creature and they have 0 cards in hand, they have 5 creatures on the field, and you just need to pull something that isn't censor, you can cycle it and hope for a creature. So there's that. So, I mean, that's why it's not a terrible card, but it's still really damn unreliable. It's just so bad. So if you're running a blue speed deck, which what would that even be? Or like a blue stupid gimmicky board setup combo that effectively wins the game by turn 4 or 5, yeah, I'd run censor. Or if you know that your opponent's running a turbo fast deck, because then chances are they are going to tap out their mana 100%, and they're probably only playing 20 lands. Yeah, this will shut them down, but the problem is, if it's that early in the game, do you really need something like that gone? I mean, the problem with censor is you could just play ice over, because that's like, okay, now you wasted your mana, it's on the field, and it's gone. Okay, it only works on creatures or artifacts, but that's pretty damn good. Oh, and it also doesn't do anything to artifacts that don't tap and have like a triggered ability, but still, it costs 2, people. I mean, considering most creatures in the game don't have haste, you already have 1 turn cycle to do something about it. And then, like, if you had censor, but you spent all your mana, and then they dropped a creature that you really wish you would have censored because it costs 4 and they have 4 mana and it's amazing, well then just ice it over for 2. So the way to fix this whole perception of the, quote, best spell is just look at your deck and see what would be the most appropriate. How fast is it? How slow is it? How likely are you to actually get to that mana amount? Do you need a faster version of the spell that takes some shortcuts and is a little bit less effective? Are you just saying, oh, I put in 1 negate and 1 essence scatter. Woo, my deck is super fast. I sure hope I pull the right one at the right time that's relevant. Or should you have just put in cancel and disallow and just, I don't know, added more lands? Or did you have enough lands in the first place to merit getting to 3 on turn 3 the vast majority of the time? And then who cares? Do you have other removal to remove troublesome stuff that hit the battlefield on turn 1 and 2? You gotta ask yourself all those questions and then say, what is the most appropriate. That's why my other decks commonly run murder. When I want a creature gone, I want a creature gone, and a lot of the decks I've built, well, except for extremely lately, are not the fastest. So everybody says, why are you running murder? Why don't you run fatal? Can you just not afford them? No, I'm not an idiot. I like my spells to work. I do not like dead cards in my hand, and neither do you. Trust me. You just gotta do the math, think it out, maybe get more experience at MTG, or just watch every video in this series. Well, actually, come to think of it, that's kind of the same thing. So think very, very, very carefully about what you put in, because a lot of people are thinking, oh, I need Deck and Stone. It's the best there is. It can hit multiple for 2. Whoa! It's a sorcery, and it doesn't really surprise anybody. It's just like, okay, my crap's gone. Cool. Now, Immolating Glare, now we've got something. Now they swung with it, and in the middle of combat on their turn, they just lost it. They're less likely to be able to do something about it. And Deck and Stone is still a surprise, but it's less of a surprise because it's your turn and it's your main phase. That's perhaps not the best example because maybe they tapped out the rest of their mana in their second main phase, then passed, then you Deck and Stoned it, but, you get the idea. Sometimes the perceived best spell is not the best for your specific deck and your specific, battlefield average state. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody, and since I think the last time I made this a video in this series I had like 20,000 subs, a lot of you are like, what the hell is this? Well, I put all of these in a playlist, and this is the #1 series on my channel, not by views or really any actual metric, other than it's the most useful and people found it the most useful and had the best feedback. And honestly, it's because it's how you become an exceptionally good player. You might be like a really good player, but if you want to go just nuts with it, some of the videos in here are very granular, very 1% advantage kind of stuff, but that's how people win poker tournaments. So if you want to play at a high level, or even some of the videos are just like, hey, stop making this stupid noob mistake. Anywhere in between, just watch the whole series. Actually, somebody, well, more than somebody, about 20 people come to think of it have said, I just watched the entire series in a row at work. I'm like, first of all, where do you work? Like, what are you, like a security guard or something where you just like sit around and wait for somebody to rob the place? And secondly, holy crap, you must be the best MTG player ever now. So seriously good advice in these videos. Nobody has anything bad to say about them, so definitely watch them. Thanks for watching this one, and I will see you guys next video.